During a major project meeting, my coworker threw me under the bus, saying loudly, she means well, but honestly, half our delays are her fault. I sat speechless as the VP stared at me. I didn't argue, I just compiled every documented delay with his signature on it and handed it over to leadership. Watching his promotion get snatched away in real time was better than any apology he could have faked. I work at a mid-sized tech company in Charlotte, North Carolina. We handle real estate platforms, stuff like listings, CRM tools, and back-end support for agents. I'd been there for 3 years, long enough to know that in this place, if you don't stand up for yourself, people will walk all over you. Especially people like Todd. Todd joined about 6 months before this story started. Tall guy, lots of gel in his hair, always showing off his smartwatch like it made him smarter. He had that I went to business school attitude, even though most of us were more technical than him. But the bosses liked his energy. He was friendly, smooth, always offering to take things on in meetings. Problem was, he rarely followed through. I'm not the loudest person in the room, but I keep things moving. I track deadlines, check dependencies, and I follow up. So when Todd forgot something, or claimed he never got an email, it was usually me fixing it behind the scenes. At first, I let it slide. I figured he was new and would catch up. But weeks turned into months, and it was the same story. We were working on this big product rollout, a platform update for over 10,000 users. High stakes. Delays weren't just annoying, they were expensive. And we had delays. Not huge ones, but enough to get attention. Some were due to bugs, some were missed reviews, and a lot were from Todd promising things on Friday and delivering them late Monday. I had documentation for every delay, because I don't trust memory when it comes to blame. I had Slack threads, Jira updates, calendar invites, and even times when I had to chase Todd for his parts. I never planned to use it for anything, just thought it might help later. Then came the big meeting. Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Denise, our VP of product, came down from corporate to do a check-in on the project. Everyone was nervous. She wasn't someone who needed small talk. She came for facts and she didn't like excuses. We sat around the conference table, me, Todd, our manager, and 3 other team leads. Denise was at the head. We went over progress, and then she asked why we were behind schedule. There was this pause. Then Todd spoke up. She means well, he said, loud and casual, nodding in my direction, but honestly, half our delays are her fault. My stomach dropped. The room got quiet. Real quiet. Denise looked straight at me. My manager shifted in his seat. One of the other leads glanced at me and then away, like he didn't want to be involved. I didn't say a word. Not because I didn't want to. I wanted to scream. But I remembered every delay, every file, every line in that spreadsheet. And I knew I didn't have to defend myself with words. I could defend myself with facts. That night, I stayed late. I pulled every delay and matched it with names, dates, and files. I linked Slack messages where I reminded Todd about deadlines. I included screenshots of the project board with his overdue tasks. I even found an email where he promised to send QA changes by Tuesday, then didn't send them until Friday, and that delay caused us to miss a client review meeting. It was all laid out in a neat, 12-page document. No emotion. No extra words. Just proof. I sent it to Denise and CC'd our manager. Subject line, project timeline documentation, for clarity. Next week, the announcement for internal promotions went out. Todd's name wasn't there. He didn't say anything to me. He just kept his head down, stopped making jokes in meetings, and stopped throwing anyone under the bus. Denise didn't mention my report, but she did start asking me direct questions after that. She trusted me to give real answers. It wasn't loud revenge. There was no yelling, no screaming match in the break room. Just silence, and a truth he couldn't talk his way out of. I didn't get an apology. But I didn't need one. Because watching him realize that his fake charm couldn't save him? That was better than any sorry he could have come up with. After the promotion list came out and Todd's name was missing, things got quiet, too quiet. For about 2 weeks, he avoided me. No eye contact in meetings. No passive-aggressive comments. Just silence. I thought maybe he learned his lesson. Maybe he realized you can't climb over people by blaming them. I almost felt relieved. Then the weird stuff started. First, little things went missing from my desk. My notepad, a USB drive, even a pair of reading glasses. I thought maybe I'd misplaced them, but I'm careful. I don't lose things. Then I noticed someone had unplugged my second monitor twice in 1 week. I mentioned it to IT, they brushed it off, said maybe someone needed a cable and forgot to plug it back in. Then came the performance review. It was supposed to be standard. Just me and my manager. But Todd had somehow gotten hold of it ahead of time. I found out because he made a comment in the kitchen that morning, "Hope you've got answers for that productivity dip they flagged." My stomach turned. When I sat down with my manager that afternoon, I was ready. I brought my own copy of task records and output charts. And sure enough, the review had a section saying my productivity was inconsistent during the last quarter. No evidence, no source, just a vague claim. I looked my manager in the eye and said, "Where did this come from?" He hesitated. I had a side conversation with Todd. He said he noticed you seemed distracted, behind on deliverables. I handed over my spreadsheet and timeline. I showed him exactly what I'd contributed, day by day. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse anyone. I just laid it out. My manager leaned back in his chair and rubbed his face. This doesn't match what Todd said at all. Because Todd is lying, I said. And he's trying to punish me for making him look bad. I didn't even say a word during that meeting. I just sent the truth. That review got revised. But the real damage was in how I saw things now. Todd wasn't just a talker, he was dangerous. And he wasn't going to stop until he got what he wanted. A week later, I got a message from one of our QA analysts, Jeremy. He asked if I had a minute to talk. We stepped outside to the parking lot. He looked nervous, kept checking around like someone might see us. I just wanted to say, "Be careful," he said. "Todd asked me to say you skipped QA sign-offs on the March release. He said he'd back me if I ever needed a reference or promotion." My blood ran cold. "He asked you to lie?" Jeremy nodded. I told him no. But he's asking around. He's trying to build a story. Todd wasn't giving up. He wanted me gone. And I knew what I had to do next. I didn't sleep much that night. Todd had crossed a line. Asking someone to lie on the record, just to make me look bad? That wasn't just office drama anymore. That was sabotage. I started documenting everything. Every odd look. Every Slack message. Every weird delay or file that suddenly went missing. I created a private folder, encrypted, backed up twice, one on my personal Google Drive, one on an encrypted USB I kept in my car. Then I started talking. Quietly. I pulled in 2 people I trusted. Carmen from marketing and Eli from development. Both of them had their own stories. Carmen had once found her name left off a client proposal after Todd said she hadn't provided edits. Eli had been blamed for a deployment issue that was actually Todd's call. We started sharing notes. It was like building a case. A pattern. A very clear one. And then something happened that lit the whole thing on fire. One Friday afternoon, Denise, the VP, called me into her office. She looked serious. "We received an anonymous HR complaint this morning," she said. "It claims you've been creating a hostile environment, blocking project progress, and undermining team leads." I just stared at her. She slid the paper across the desk. "Your name's on it." but I've read your past reports. And I've seen the actual timelines. So I want to ask, do you know who might have sent this? There was only one person who could twist things like that and still hide behind someone else. Todd, I said. She didn't answer, but the silence said everything. I opened my laptop and pulled up the shared drive Carmen, Eli, and I had been working on. I showed her files, messages, times Todd had flipped blame, incidents where he tried to rewrite reality. I even had audio. Jeremy had given me permission to record our parking lot talk. Denise sat through all of it. Quiet. Focused. Her eyes never left the screen. When I was done, she said, I need a few days. Don't mention this to anyone. I nodded and walked out. But by Monday, things were different. Todd was acting twitchy. He wasn't talking as much in meetings. He avoided Denise completely. And then, mid-Tuesday, a calendar invite popped up, HR review, confidential. His name was on it. So was Denise's. Then Eli messaged me. He just asked me if I still had that Slack message about the bug handoff from April. Said he might have made an error in how he remembered things. It was unraveling. But it wasn't over. Because the day after Todd's HR meeting, I came in to find my system login frozen. My badge didn't work. And security asked me to step into the lobby. And that's when I realized. Someone wasn't going down alone. They led me to a small side office near the lobby, just a desk, a chair, and a company laptop. One of the HR reps, some woman I'd only ever seen during open enrollment talks, sat down across from me with a polite but stiff smile. There's been a temporary lock on your access while we conduct a full review, she said. Standard protocol, nothing disciplinary at this time. Am I being accused of something? I asked. She gave the same kind of empty smile I'd seen on people who already made up their minds. We're just looking into concerns raised about internal conflict and data misuse. Data misuse. I knew right away where that came from. Todd had taken one last swing. He was trying to turn my documentation, the same files that showed his lies, into a weapon against me. Make it seem like I was hoarding confidential info, not protecting myself. I asked to speak with Denise. They said she wasn't available. But I wasn't going to sit still. That night, I emailed Denise directly from my personal account. I told her I needed to speak, immediately. I included screenshots from when Todd had bragged in group chats about making up numbers to keep things optimistic. I attached the timestamped folder showing how I never pulled anything off company servers. I'd just saved public meeting notes, team boards, and things anyone could access. Denise called me that night. She was pissed. Not at me, at HR, they jumped the gun, she said. Todd tried to say you were building a case to sue the company. HR panicked. I told her, I wasn't building a lawsuit. I was building the truth. She said, I know. Next day, I walked back into the office with full access. HR apologized, half-heartedly. But that didn't matter. Because the real show was about to start. Denise had pulled everything from our shared drive. Every message. Every record. Even the audio of Todd asking Jeremy to lie. She forwarded the file to corporate legal. A week later, Todd was gone. No email. No goodbye. His desk was cleared out before lunch. But here's the part one didn't expect. 2 weeks after he was let go, our manager, the same one I'd shown all the proof to months ago, got demoted. Turns out, he'd seen what Todd was doing and let it happen. He thought Todd had potential. Thought I'd manage it quietly. And me? I got offered his job. And I said no. Because the truth is, I let this go on too long. I didn't speak up early. I let the fear of office politics keep me silent. And that silence almost cost me everything. That was my mistake. Instead, I transferred to a new department. Still same company, but far from all the rot. Fresh team. New manager. Different rules. But I kept the USB. Not out of spite. Out of memory. Because in the corporate world, your best defense is the truth, and your receipts. And sometimes the best revenge is not letting them bury you. It's making sure they never get the shovel again.